You have to grow through what you go through.
What is up, family? Welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live with me, your host and international award-winning Make Every Second Count speaker, Jeff Marconette Jr. Guys, I am so pumped up because tonight we're going to be learning all about how you can rebuild yourself from the inside out. And our guest tonight is no slouch herself. But I have to ask you if you would please, please, please share this episode out. Invite as many people as you can to watch it. You can just tag people in the comments. I don't mind. Also, please keep the thumbs up, the hearts, frowny faces, crying faces. Heck, you can even get mad at us. I don't care. Just help us trick the algorithm on one of the socials that we're on. And then keep the comments coming. We want to have more of a conversation than just make a presentation. So if you're wondering anything, ask it. But with no further ado, I would like to bring to the stage Miss Simmons.
Hello.
Hello, Debbie. How are you doing this evening?
I'm excited to be with you guys. It's going to be fun.
Yes, it is. And I thank you for taking the time out of your busy evening to be here with me and my peeps. And I know that certain people out there are always excited to learn who our guests are. So I have to ask if you would go through a short introduction about yourself. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do. I'm going to be inviting a few people here on my phone, so I am looking down, but I am paying attention at the same time.
All righty. Well, I would tell you that my life, just like all of your listeners, has plenty of highs and lows. But here is who I am. I am a mom and a wife. I have 9 adopted children, and
Oh,
then I have
adopted.
yeah,
I was
and then
going to say,
then I have
woo!
husband Scott, and then some people call me Lolly, and those are my special peeps because those are my 15 grandkids. And
Wow.
then I get to be the CEO of a nonprofit called Anchor Point in the Houston, Texas area, which is a ministry that impacts lives and families, and we get to serve thousands of families every year. And it's such a blessing to do that. But now God has me expanding what I do and working with CEOs and executives to say, hey, this ministry that I created from scratch, all the hard things that I learned, here's the things that if you learn them from my hard knocks that I got, you are going to be able to soar. And so I get to coach in that arena, doing the architecture of trust and the legacy architect. And so that is the other names I get.
Wow, that is pretty amazing. So I'm sorry, I might have missed this, but where are you from?
I'm from Houston, Texas.
All right, so you're an everything's bigger in Texas kind of gal.
Definitely so.
Yeah. And then I want to take a second here and say hello to Ben Bruce, who is from Nigeria, Africa, but he is in the Seychelles right now for work. Seychelles is in the Indian Ocean, so this is an international show. Thanks for watching, Ben Bruce. And then we also have Robert Brooker, who is from Canada. I don't know much about his location besides Canada, and he likes to say "a." So, so I know he's definitely from Canada. So I know personally that life has a tendency to put things in our way, things that aren't necessarily supposed to stop us, but things that are supposed to hinder our progress and teach us things. along the way. You see, at the age of 17, I spent 2.5 months in a coma and 3.5 in the hospital after a traumatic car accident. I wasn't supposed to be walking right now, but I am. And I am so happy and so privileged and so excited to say that I have walked on 4 continents now. Now, I didn't walk the entire continent, but I've walked on 4 continents, so it's pretty cool. I have learned since then that these things are not supposed to stop us. That these things are supposed to teach us things. And each adversity that we face, I believe, is a lesson that we are to learn. You see, I I study a lot of the Stoics, and they say that like the adversity or the obstacle in your way isn't really an obstacle. It is your way. And that while that sounds confusing, it makes sense to me. But I have to ask Debbie, is there anything in your life that you have had to grow through?
Oh, there's plenty, but we can focus on one of the ones that have happened in the last few years, and that is as a CEO and as a busy mom, I'm a mover and shaker, got to get things done, right? And I remember hopping out of a truck recently in the last 5 years, and I was talking away to my husband, and I took that truck door and I just shut it, and it dug right into my leg about 3 or 4 inches above my ankle and just took a big hunk of my body with it.
Ooh,
And I started bleeding everywhere, and they took me to the hospital. Long story short, it got infected. It got staph infection. The wound doctor couldn't heal it. It disrupted everything in my life. It took me about 12 months to get that under control. But what it really did was it began to, sometimes adversity doesn't take away our lives. It
yeah.
actually takes away our assumptions. And here I am,
I
six.
like that.
Yeah, but I mean, I got a successful career. I am, a mom. I do it all. I run at 100 miles an hour. And then suddenly, here is a problem. I mean, I'm sitting with a doctor and he goes, I'm putting you in the hospital till you get it solved. And I'm like, I ain't going to the hospital. And I'm like, I don't know how I figured my way out of this. But, the hardest part wasn't the injury. It was realizing the way I had always navigated life was no longer enough.
Wow. I like that.
Mhm.
That's very creative. I mean, it's a great way of thinking. And so I have to ask, like, I don't want this to sound like a TED talk kind of conversation, but that's kind of what it is. So I have to ask, what did you learn from this situation?
Yeah. Okay. So it really challenged my identity because think about it. I'm a CEO. I am the one who holds everything together. And that is fine as long as I can show up 100%. Well, with this type of injury, I don't have the stamina. I don't have the ability to do a lot of the things. And what it began to show was like, oh my gosh, I had built my organization about around my ability to solve the problems. And the biggest thing that I needed to learn was I, didn't necessarily need more strength. I needed a different foundation in the organization that I ran so that it didn't have to depend on me. And because what if I do get sick? What if I can't be there? And, this was serious. And then the other piece of that was, hey, not only do I need a new foundation and structure within this organization that's getting bigger, more complex, and it needs to be able to run itself, but obviously, if my body won't heal itself, I got a bigger problem going on. And so I remember working with the nutritionist, and I was like, there must be something I need to learn, because my dream as a kid was to be a young grandma. And I told you I have 15 grandkids. And I'm like, I'm not going to be here if I don't make some changes. And so this started a 5-year quest of, what do I eat? How do I exercise? How do I walk through these things and do the right things so that I can be the best person that God wants me to be, so he can use me with my grandkids, with my business, and I can still continue to have an impact even today. And it's been a slow journey, but it's been a good journey. And it is still, even now, 5 years later, that stuff rears its head every once in a while. And I have to really focus on figuring my way back to health. And so I would go, hey, learn early. You got to take care of your body. We don't understand, I don't think, how much stress hurts us. And that's really what it was in my life. Was there was so much stress, my body was depleted of everything. And I had to figure out a new way to do life.
So you had to figure out what we define as rebuilding from the inside out, correct?
Yep, for sure. Everything I put in my mouth, how I take care of my health, how I handle stress in stressful situations. Do I take the time to even take a day off? Do you know what I'm saying? Because I went at 100 miles an hour. Do I know how to breathe? Or what about any woundedness I was maybe carrying in me, emotional woundedness that was rearing its head? Do the hard work of digging in on those things so that I can be as healthy and as physically present as I can possibly be, to be able to be in the situations. Because think about it. I didn't get my 9 children removed, right? I still have 9 children. I still have a CEO position. I'm doing additional coaching, and I'm supposed to be in all those arenas. And if I am, then I've got to get myself mentally, physically prepared to be able to be and to do what I need to do.
Yeah. So we do have a question here in the audience from Ben Bruce. This says, what does it take to rebuild from the inside out? What brings that realization to your mind that, hey, something is wrong here. I need to figure out how I can build myself in the proper way.
Yeah, you know what was really funny? The longer the wound went on and it wouldn't heal, I was like, what is the deal with this? This is crazy. And the more it went, I was just like, I don't want to have to live like this. And so I think for me, this pain that I had and this wound that wouldn't heal really began to help me change the questions I was asking. And, before adversity, I would just ask, how do I fix this? Let me get done with it. Let me move on. And now what I began to ask is, what is this trying to teach me? What do I need to learn? I don't want to ever have to go back here. And so, what do I need to learn so that I can be the best person I need to be? And that changes everything. Because now, instead of, let me just get it done and throw it to the side, or let me run and abandon it, now I'm going, there's something to learn. What do I need to learn? Now I become inquisitive. And now I go, okay, what can I learn? And how do I figure my way? So instead of asking, who's failing, now I'm asking, what in my body structure is not working? It's not producing the outcome I need. And when I do that, now I can be creative and figure out how to get to a solution. And I will be wiser, and I will be healthier, and I will be able to help other people, because I didn't get to not go through the crisis. I had to go through it. Right? You can't. Most of the time, we don't get rescued. We have to go through it. And this was my journey.
Yeah, that is amazing. So, in what way, all right, can someone realize that there's something wrong in their life? I mean, how is it that they are going to realize that they're missing something in their life and they need to recreate that.
Yeah. Okay. Here, this is great. Okay. This is how we know like what we trust and if we're healthy and everything like that. Okay. Is, you and I trust the chairs that we sit in, right? We
Yeah.
don't even think about it much. We just jump on it and we expect the solid foundation to hold, right? Okay. At least I do every time I sit down. And so here's the question. We know what we trust when the pressure in our life goes up. Okay. When we face a difficult situation, when we're under a stressful thing, all it does, that pressure, all it does is reveal what's already there. So when the pressure goes, like I'll give you a great example. I might say, I trust God completely in every situation.
Okay.
Okay. Then I have a lawsuit that lands on my desk at the ministry that I run. And I'm like, what? And then I started trying to control it and do all this stuff. Does that look like I'm trusting God? No, it looks like I'm trying to control. And so what it revealed was that I don't really trust God. And so what my body was telling me was I'm not really healthy. You need to do something about it. So think about the last time that the pressure went up for you. And when the pressure went up for you, what did you do? Did it produce in you the outcome that you like to see? And if it doesn't, because like when I'm a control freak, I'm not very nice, right?
Hmm.
I just am. I'm not. And because I got to control everything and it makes the stress go up and everything. But if I'm really trusting God, I can rest that He's got it under control and I can learn to walk through that. Very different results, same situation. Right. So I would say, hey, whatever you're facing as the pressure has gone up, what is it producing in you? And is it producing what you desire? Is that result working for you? And guess what? You know what? If it's not, it's absolutely okay. Just go, there's something I need to tweak in my life and figure out what it is, make the tweak, continue on in your life. And guess what? The pressure will go up again and you'll get to test it. And you know what? This time it might hold like my chair. And I might, be able to rest and be peaceful and walk through the next situation. And so that is the best indicator that I have is when the pressure goes up, what comes out, because what comes out was already there.
Wow, that's so true. So I like the what comes out was already there. Sorry, I'm playing around with some settings here, trying to figure some things out that are new here on StreamYard. But so I have learned that whatever we need, whatever we are experiencing, our bodies already know how to handle it. They
Yes.
they
Yes.
just
Mhm.
they just have gone dormant, I guess, or just not done what they need to do or what we know we need to do. And it's just so weird to me that a person knows what needs to happen, knows that certain things shouldn't be happening, but they are, and that they don't try and fix those things. They try to fix everything at once instead of breaking it down into smaller bite-sized nuggets.
Yeah, because you and I, you know what? We just want to get it done. So I'm like, what's the fastest way I can figure my way out of this? And the truth is, a lot of times we have to slow down and we have to take it one piece at a time. And so, with my leg, I obviously couldn't get it under control. And so then the question became, okay, why can't I get blood down there? Okay, well, my body was telling me I'm keeping your heart pumping. That's all I got to give. Well, I need to give it some assistance then, right? And so what do I need to do that? And just it was like, okay, there's one new little thing to learn. And then even though I want to have my leg heal fast, it's now a journey. And so it's a journey of being faithful every day to take care of the wound, deal with the wound, try and make sure I'm not putting bad things in my body food wise, and to go, okay, let's get a little better. And it would get better. And then what do we have in life? We get a setback, right? Something
Yeah.
shows up and I go backwards 3 or 4 steps and then rebuilding from that. But always finding the next best step, doing it and faithfully doing that over and over and over again will get us a long way on this journey of life. And so I think a lot of times, I just ignored things in my life to get where my body got in such bad shape. And the injury was just the signal. So I had just learned how to survive the way I was doing it. And it seemed to work until it didn't
It
work.
didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
get
don't
that.
do it my way.
Yeah. That's amazing. So I know that you were talking about a setback there. And a setback, Dr. Willie Jolly says a setback is a setup for a comeback.
Mhm.
Now, while I love that saying right there.
Mhm.
That is just amazing to me because it highlights the fact that we have to keep moving. It highlights the fact that if we don't stop moving, that setback cannot become permanent. That
Mhm.
is a amazing idea for me.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the idea that, you know what? It doesn't matter what happened. It just matters where you are at the moment and what is the next best step and take it. Because when we are moving, a lot of us, and one of the big lessons I learned early in life is, when we face adversity, a lot of us like to sit around and ask the question of why. Because if I knew the answer to why, I feel like okay, now I can figure my way because I know the answer. But the truth of the matter is, this side of heaven, most of us never get the why answered. And why is a very internal question. It pulls us away from people, it slows us down, and it actually will take us out of the game. So we have to change it to how do I survive? And that is take the next best step. And then once we are moving in the right direction and we're moving toward healing, moving through this fog that we have, we can move to the question of how do I thrive? And that is where great redemption stories are born. And, so those were journeys that I learned early in life, but that giving up the why, asking how do I survive, and then how do I thrive? Those are the things that have served me well in figuring my way through everything that I have to face.
Wow. I really like that. So now don't look at how I just survive. Look at how I thrive.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I find that to be enlightening because it highlights the fact that you don't have to just survive. You can thrive after whatever setback has come. Because remember, a setback is only a setup for a comeback.
Mhm.
Man, you are just opening all kinds of doors and windows, and that's cool. I really appreciate that. So I have to ask, like, all right, I know somebody that is going through school getting his master's degree right now. He's very close to done with it, but it's extremely stressful because he has a pregnant girlfriend at home and she keeps him up constantly. It's like a nightmare situation. But how would you go about something like that? How would you realize that there are things that you can fix in the now instead of the later?
Yeah. So before it becomes it's a big issue, but before it becomes Huge issue. And so, first of all, anytime I face an adverse situation and it's coming my way, you can ask my staff. One of my favorite sayings is I always go, I need you to breathe. I need you to breathe, and not just a breath in through your mouth, but one through your nose, hold it for 4, and then out through your mouth, and then do that 2 or 3 times, because this is what happens. Okay. When we freak out, when the pressure goes up, we end up in the lower part of our brain, in the amygdala, which is our fight, freeze, and we think emotionally. All right. And our emotions are not our best answers. Okay. They never are. So breathing, deep breathing like that flips us into our prefrontal cortex. And our prefrontal cortex is where thinking happens. It's the smart part of my brain, right? It's where thinking can happen and logical thought. And I can then begin to creatively solve my problem. So, obviously, if we're looking at your friend's situation, school is stressful. A spouse at home or lots of children at home, pregnancy, all of those are stressful. So, but if I step back from the situation and I'm not just involved in the emotions of it all, because one, if I'm tired, stressed out, I'm already weary, right? And so I have very little capacity. And maybe it's worth it to sit down with the girlfriend on a good night and go, hey, I need some help. I'm trying to manage this and I'm trying to be supportive of you, and I'm running out of gas. And I think in our big scheme of things, we want me to finish the masters. And so, how do I build some time in there for working on that or working on sleep and then supporting you? And we as a team come up with some ideas. And then together, we as a team implement, because we're not against each other. But if we never breathe, we'll never be able to think. And so that is always my number one thing. It's just, I need you to breathe. I need you to breathe and we'll figure this out. So that's my
Yeah.
suggestion.
Wow. A few weeks ago, I don't know when exactly, but I actually had a girl on here that did a whole episode on breath work. And
Yep.
that was amazing. And she actually taught us square breathing.
Yeah. Block breathing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole fact that you just brought that up is really cool to me. And actually my article on LinkedIn tomorrow has a thing about square breathing in it. So it's just weird the way things connect.
That's really cool, because I mean, just think about it. I mean, I have a 2-year-old grandson that's here in my house, and when he loses it, I'm like, Lolly needs you to breathe. And
Yeah.
you can watch this little 2.5-year-old go, and he can calm himself down. This is a skill that he needs as he continues to get older. And sometimes we as adults just forget these simple things.
Yeah.
And this is just what we need to do. And when he breathes, you could just watch his whole body. He just, and I'm like, you're doing good, buddy. We're doing it again.
That is so great. Uh, Robert here in the comments says I'm a fan of breath work, so
Yeah.
he knows all about it. And then Ben Bruce, a fan, says thanks Jeff and Debbie. I really needed to hear this. I think he just said I really needed to this, but I think he meant to hear this.
Yeah. We could translate it for him. It's good.
Yeah. So I wow, we're like out of time already. That was fast. So,
Mhm.
but I have to ask, like, do you have any contact information you would like people out there to have?
Yeah, I got two. If they go to theDebbieSimmons.com, they can learn all about a lot of the stuff that I am doing. But as a blessing to your listeners, if they go to theheartoflegacy.com, they can get my first book, which walks through difficult situations. It has a bunch of tips in there about how to be focused, faithful, and fearless.
Wow.
So that is a blessing. It's free. I would just get that, pass that on to different people, and it will be a wonderful thing. But I would tell you, the goal isn't for us to go back to the person we were before the adversity. The goal is to become the person who could only exist because we walk through it.
Wow, that's cool. So I have to bring up somebody's question. This guy is kind of different, but he is asking, is that a giant strawberry or a heart, Debbie? It looks like you are a horticulturist.
That's a great question. And you know what? I love questions. And it is a heart made from broken glass that learned how to survive the adversity and to become something beautiful that reminds me that my job is still all about the heart and making an impact on people. So thank you for the question.
Yes. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate that question, man. That was a good one. Try to keep those up. So I want you to do me a favor this week. I want everybody out there to do me a favor this week, next week, and for the rest of your life. I need you to make every second count.
Mhm.
Why? Because you never know when those seconds will run out on your one life. Guys, I'll see you back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And until then, you have a fantastic week. Thank you again, Debbie. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.